Today I will be showing you how I made the map and atmosphere of my Roblox game, Baked Beans. This advice is for people who like building with blocks and not really so much with the terrain tool. I don't know enough about that to really make a video about it, but this video will probably still be helpful even if you do. So something I'd like you to at least consider is to open up Pinterest or wherever you compile images and make a mood board. A lot of great projects were started with a mood board in mind. This is also very helpful if you're working with a team, since everyone will be able to get inspiration from the same place. I'd also recommend drawing a basic outline of where you're going to put things, and later when you're building, having an in-game reference. This is where you decide if there's beaches or no beaches, volcanoes or no volcanoes, dense forests, or if it's all just sand. So now that you have all the planning down and you have a clear idea, it is time to actually put stuff down. Huzzah! You're going to want to get started from the ground up, obviously. And always have a rig beside you to compare sizes and obviously play test to see how it feels actually walking around your map. Play around with colors, like just experiment. You can always delete it later. And this map you're making doesn't even have to be the final product, but the things you do end up using, I'd recommend recycling, so that way you save time. Next is to make things feel seamless. You don't want your map to just feel like it just bursted out of nowhere with mountains and whatnot, unless you're making a surrealist world that utilizes megalophonia or something like that. But add more land in between spaces, kind of like a gradient. Next is atmosphere. So depending on what theme you chose, it's going to matter how you tinker with not only the light, but how the character walks, what you can see in the distance, or what you cannot see in the distance. If you're making a coastal game like Baked Beans, then you're going to want warm, humid feeling lighting. In my case, I wanted a huge map, that way the tourist felt small, but like a cozy bug in spaces she would probably feel safe in. In buildings where I wanted the tourist to feel uncomfortable, I cranked up the blinding lights and made things feel desolate and corporate. I'm not a horror psychology master, but it is my favorite genre in both games and movies, well, other than. But if you want the game to feel lighthearted for, say, a tycoon or a garden. Okay, just ignore all the AI slop that you see, but I'm just here to point out how a tycoon game either has no additional tinkering to the lighting, I guess one with AI, or it's probably going to be overly saturated for manipulative purposes. It doesn't matter if it's from a company or not. This one actually looks like they tinkered with the lighting, but not to make it manipulative. The purpose of the game and what the environment usually is matters. And drive cars down a hill, which I really enjoy this game, since it takes place in a desert most of the time. The lighting is simple, but you can see that it's a little bit orange and kind of grainy almost. In the horror or survival category, people often go for realistic lighting to be immersive, and it's usually things are darkened and things feel heavy. I'm just looking at the video thumbnails, but these should be a good representation of what's in the game. I don't think it's unrealistic of me to expect that. I'd refrain from getting too philosophical in your lighting. The more complicated you make it, the more complicated your game is going to feel. I'd recommend watching technical videos if you'd like to learn how to use the lighting, but if you'd like to just mess around with it and find what works best, you can do that too. I do recommend learning how to use the interface first before you start experimenting. But once you feel comfortable, you can play around with colors, particles, and even scripts that turn things on and off at certain times of the day cycle. It can end up making your game feel more lively. So based on what my Pinterest mood board was for this game, I added a bunch of stars in the sky and in the surrounding ocean. I did a contrast of green and purple for berries for some reason. Honestly, this is just the first thing I thought of. I made this game in maybe about 40 minutes. There's nothing really to it. It's just to show you what you could do with the lighting and things like that. To give an example of a game that I spent more time messing around with the lighting, would be a game I'm working on called Hot Throw. It's just a simple game where you traverse the land and see text on a screen that tells out a story. And since you go through the phases of a candle's life, essentially, I do have this, and I struggle getting up there for some reason. This area, it's supposed to be like charcoal, you know, the wick of the candle being blown out, but also low-key looks like Hades. Then we have the area that has a volcano with pooling lava. I know the way that I build things in Roblox is probably a bit strange, a bit like blurry, and there's like so much shit everywhere. It probably feels like a fever dream. Oh, I'm hitting the Gangnam Style. But this is just what I felt like was good for the game, and that's honestly the most important part of creating atmosphere, is what feels right. Now, for sound design, it is equally as important, because just like telling a story with text, you want to activate, you know, all of the senses. So for this one, I have a sound looping in the back over and over, kind of as just simple droning. Then I have a song that is maybe about a minute long in the back. It's just like a simple horror game thing. Then I have regions that have lava pooling and kind of waves of ash and then waves of water as well. In Baked Beans, throughout the day cycle, you hear different animals. I didn't get too technical with it, but it was just something that I felt like was necessary, so that is definitely something that I think you should consider for whatever game you're making, because playing a game that's just pure silence isn't exactly enjoyable for being immersed. Last on my list for creating atmosphere would be how you make your character look at the game. Depending if it's first person or if you just can't zoom out that much, it can make them feel more immersed, obviously. Camera bobbing. I don't know if you saw the last video where I talked about if Roblox can teach me philosophy or not, but we played a game called Life's Purpose. And in it, they build tension by making you walk painfully slow throughout such a small cave. And then once you're out, you get to go back to normal walking speed. Not sprinting, but just walking. So with all that being said, let me show you the final form of the game that I've made as an example. Thanks for making it to the end of today's video. I hope that my advice was good. I wasn't actually expecting to start uploading this year, but it just kind of happened. So I hope you are looking forward to more philosophical and whatever the hell I would call the types of videos that I make. Are you working on a game of your own? If so, please tell me in the comments. Just don't become a salesman. And good luck with making your games.